What's up, guys? We're back here with the LQ review. Wanted to do another one. Hold on. Gotta wait for my little intro here to get through. Alright, so we're going to do another one of the old school comic reviews, and like I said in the last one, I'm sticking with Star Trek for a little while. Now on this one, we're doing the DC movie special, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. Now this one has a lot of similarities to the last one we went over with the Marvel. One of those similarities being the kind of the block storytelling that I talked about in the last issue. But let's kind of go over this. This is the cover. You see, it was a $1.50. $1.50 back in 1983, I think is when it was. 1983 is when this comic came out. Let's see here. I don't see the date down there. Did I get the date? Copyright 1984. 1984. I was a year off. So yeah. So 1984, and you can see the block storytelling there. 4 blocks. Here we got a splash page, but then we go back to blocks. So it's very kind of that old school comic book mentality, and the paper is very similar, the old school type paper, and even the art is similar to when Marvel owned Star Trek. The art is very similar, and getting in on like there you see Savick, there you see Kirk, Scotty, Chekhov. Very similar art, almost like the same artist came over. Remember. I'll get to the ships in a moment, but the ships are a real weakness. Again, very similar to Marvel, the Marvel run on Star Trek. By the way, whoever says that the odd movies are the bad movies, they've never seen this movie. Because Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, is a wonderful Star Trek movie. Again, block storytelling. Ann Collins mentioned me in Survivor fans. That's good to know. We all know the story of Star Trek 3, so I don't feel any need to really recap it here. Here they find young Spock on planet Genesis, Savick. And let's talk about Savick real fast. Hold on. I'm going to sneeze. Let's talk about Savick real fast. Savick became a real fan favorite character during her run on the movies. She was introduced in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. She had a very primary role in Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And then she departed early in Star Trek 4. She was only in a couple scenes in the very beginning, and then we never saw her again in live action. Never. To this date, we've never seen Savick again in live action. But Savick went on to have a huge role in the comics. She was a primary character in the comics for a long time. And as I go through this series of old school Star Trek comics, we're definitely going to be touching on that and going through that, just how important she was to the comics. So there, look, there's a bird of prey. Looks like they pay a lot of attention to the characters to make it look like their actor counterparts, but the ships are not always well rendered. They just, quite frankly, they don't look that good. Here they are mutinying, stealing the Enterprise, and again, the Enterprise, it just doesn't look great. It looks, even there, that's one of the best renderings of the Enterprise in the whole book, and it doesn't look as professional as we expect it to look today. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie when he kills the creepy crawly. And they're the Klingons. They find David and Savick. And notice there's no ads in this. There's no ads in this book at all. It was a movie special. Okay, this is great. This is my favorite part in Star Trek. One of my top 10 favorite moments in all of Star Trek history is, so here they set the self-destruct. The Klingons have boarded. 3, 2, 1. And then what happens? I just wanted one last look. And then the Enterprise explodes. And Kirk is on the planet, and his reaction gives me goosebumps to this day. There he watches the Enterprise streaking through the sky, and he says, "My God, Bones, what have I done?" Then he said, what you had to do, what you always do. Let's talk about that moment for a second. That's like a defining moment in Star Trek for me, is when Kirk destroyed the Enterprise. This was the original Enterprise from the original series, and he blew it up. He sacrificed it so he could have a fighting chance to save Spock. And I remember my mom telling me about it. This movie came out, I was 4 years old when this movie came out. So obviously I did not watch it in its first run, but my mom was a Trekkie, and she did watch it in its first run. And she went, later on in life when I watched this movie with her, because my Star Trek fandom is because of my mom. So later in life, as I was watching this movie with her, she explained the significance of that moment. She said, I remember her saying to me, we thought Star Trek was over at this point. That seeing the Enterprise get destroyed, seeing it streak through the sky, seeing his reaction to it, and the fact that they had brought Spock back, she said that was the end of Star Trek. We didn't think that there was any path forward for it. And what's even crazier is that in The Voyage Home, the next movie, the Enterprise isn't in the movie at all, save the last 2 seconds of the movie. So it was a very impactful moment for Star Trek fans, and for me, understanding kind of where their mentality was at, the mentality of the fans watching this go down. I get goosebumps watching it. It's a top 10 moment in all of Star Trek for me, seeing that sequence in the search for Spock. And again, no ads. So this is a special book. There we see the Genesis planet blow up. They're back on Vulcan. They do the ritual to bring Spock back, to get his conscious out of McCoy and back into Spock. And there's the scene at the end where, and look, that's really good artist work there. I mean, that is Leonard Nimoy. So much of it is well done, and so much of it is just haphazard. It's really weird. That one on the top left doesn't look like Leonard Nimoy at all. So it's a very mixed bag as far as the artwork is concerned. Some of it's really good. And here's the kind of the advertising for, DC has Star Trek now, and this is the advertising saying that there's going to be new stories coming from DC. And I have this entire run, and we're going to go over some of it. But it was a really good run. There's the cover again. So yeah, guys, I mean, this was a interesting place. Again, this was a transitional time for Star Trek. Star Trek was changing, and the movies were changing, and it was getting its footing. The Next Generation was just now on the horizon now, and I really like diving back into what Star Trek was as it was changing, and the comics were a big part of that. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you joining me here at the LQ Review, where we talk about all the geeky, nerdy stuff we love to talk about. And until next time, we'll see you later.